I met Tina at Jude's birthday party. She was very beautiful and jovial. I couldn't take my eyes off her and had to plead with Jude's girlfriend Maddie, who was a friend, to introduce us, which she gladly did. When we shook hands, I didn't want to leave her hand. We began to talk, and I didn't want the evening to end. I was about to ask for her contact when a deep voice called her name. Her smile vanished, and the fear I never saw on her face appeared. The guy who called her moved closer to where we were standing, and before I could say hello, he landed a loud slap on her face. I was shocked and had to quickly intervene, but he punched my face, dragged the crying Tina, and both of them walked out of the party. It was Jude who later told me the guy was her boyfriend. I was fortunate to meet her again when she was introduced as the new receptionist in my company. When she saw me, she was shocked and immediately apologized for the party incident, which I waved off. That day, I offered to drop her off. She initially rejected, but my persistence forced her to accept. I couldn't help but wanted to ask her what the guy at the party truly was, but I noticed she wasn't really ready to talk about it. When we got to her place, she quickly alighted, thanked me, and walked hurriedly to her house. This became our regular routine. Her easiness with me grew as we began to have conversation. We became close, but when I tried to extend a more than friendship and she gently drew back, I knew I couldn't continue with this friend zone level because I had fallen in love with her. So one of the days I had dropped her home, I expressed my feelings to her. I told her I had liked her since we met at Jude's birthday party, but fell in love with her when we met again in my office. She looked deep into my eyes and burst into a loud cry. I moved closer and held her hand as I noticed she needed to let it all out. Ben, I am sorry. I am deeply sorry. I also like you, but I can't date you, she said tearfully. You remember that guy at the party? That is the reason. You see, my father took a loan from his dad, who was a loan shark, to boost his business. Everything was going well until one night when fire gutted our mini ponds and everything got destroyed. 2 days later, my father went to his house to plead that he gave him some time to pay back the money, but he refused and insisted that the payment be made on the agreed date. After much pleading, he asked that my father trade me for the debt. He had always told my father he wished I married his vagabond son, Tony, who has no means of livelihood and lived a terrible lifestyle. At first, my father disagreed because I was his only child since my mother died during childbirth, but he began to threaten him with lawsuits. I had to agree when the trouble became too much. This incident made my father develop high blood pressure, and the day he saw my battered face on one of the numerous beatings I received from Tony, he developed a heart attack and died instantly, she explained bitterly. Since then, I have been living at their mercy. The only reason I am still in my father's house is because Tony told his dad he's not ready to marry, but I am a sex slave. Many calls I must become till I pay the debt. Even if the debt is paid, my life will never be the same. I don't think any man will find me worthy, she said with a loud cry. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about everything she told me. I remembered her smiling face at the party. She was so full of life. No one would have believed she was going through any challenges. Thankfully, it was the weekend. I put a call to my friend Jude and asked that we meet at our usual spot. I narrated everything Tina told me to him, and he confirmed it. My fiance had helped her several times whenever that idiot abused her. We are thankful the guy always used protection because he's a serial cheat, but she feared it might intentionally infect her with STD one day. I have seen her cry on Maddie's shoulders, but I must commend she is a strong lady, he said, nodding his head sadly. Jude gave me a suspicious look when I asked if he knew the process of paying the debt. Truly, I love her, but no one needs to go through all of this because of some silly debt. Ben, hope is not what I'm thinking. He asked, do you want to pay the debt? Yes, I would like to pay. That lady has potentials, and this situation is killing her dreams. Jude nodded in agreement. But I heard that man is very strict. You need to be very, very careful, Jude advised. So you want to pay Tina's debt? How are you related to her? The man asked with a deep voice. Jude had given me details of the man and his house address, not without warning me to be careful. I went there the following weekend and informed him of my intention to clear the debt. Yes, sir, I would like to clear the debt. I am a colleague from office, I responded. With a nod, he pulled out his phone and called someone who later happened to be Tony, his son. Tony, someone is here to free Tina. He wants to pay for the girl's debt. What should I do with him?
Daddy, collect your money. I don't even like the girl. I have enjoyed what I wanted from her. You can pay and carry the empty vessel away. Daddy, I'm busy here. We'll talk later,
he said hurriedly and hung up. No problem, Mr. Man. You can pay and I will let her go. But let me advise you, there is nothing womanly about that girl. My son has eaten all the delicious parts in her body. What you see now is an empty barrel, he said, giving me a wicked smile. I knew he wanted to ignite my anger, but I calmly nodded and thanked him for the unsolicited advice. I made the payment instantly, and true to his word, he called Tina and informed her that Mr. Ben had paid her debt and freedom. What a human! Outside, I shook my head with relief. I thought it was going to be tough, but I guess he valued money more than humanity. My phone rang and it was Tina. Her long silence made me realize she had been crying. Amidst her tears, she kept thanking and praying for me. We began to date openly, and our love grew. She sold her father's property and used the fund to finance her university education. She insisted on being our home supporter in that aspect in order to give herself the boldness she needed after her stormy past. We got married 6 months after our graduation from the university and moved to another country where we had all our 3 kids. It has been 9 years since the incident. She now works as the CEO of a listed branch in a tech company. She is my best pal, a good mother, and the best innovator. She would always say I am her saving grace, but truly, she was my saving grace because in her, I have found peace.